covering the third chapter of the first canto, and it is entitled Kṛṣṇa is the source of all incarnations. And here we establish and come in touch with the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The essence is one verse, and that verse is 1.3.28. So we started off a couple of sessions back. We spoke of the concept of Paribhasha Sutra. Paribhasha means essence. Sutra is a verse. Every scripture has one verse, which basically is considered to be the essence of the entire scripture, the most important verse in one sense. For Srimad Bhagavatam, that verse, according to the opinion of our previous acharyas, is 1.3.28. In Bhagavad Gita, we spoke of 15.15. 15.15 is the verse in Bhagavad Gita that's considered to be the essence. And then in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we have Anya Bilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadya Anavritam, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam, Bhakti Ruttama. That's considered to be the essence. So surrounding the essence, there needs to be a background that has to be established. And the rest of the chapter lends that background. So we want to understand why 1.3.28 is the essence. So we go back to 1.3.28, but by understanding the background. In the previous session, we particularly focused on the expansions of Kṛṣṇa who play the role of maintainers, creators, and destroyers. When we use the word maintainer, creator, destroyer, that's the general definition of God. But Srimad Bhagavatam goes beyond the general definition of God and touches upon his personal feature. Very specifically, it touches upon his interactions with his most intimate associates in his personal abode. And this is beyond the function of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Creation, maintenance, and destruction are functions that are experienced within the material realm, because the material realm has a past, it has a present, it has a future. But then beyond the material realm is the concept of God as the absolute truth. And when we look at God as the absolute truth, we literally focus on his relationships. We focus on his devotees. We focus on the relationships. God as the absolute truth is basically the feature of God which interacts with devotees and produces rasa. There's a rasa, there's a certain taste, there's a certain essence of taste, there's a certain mellow of interaction, and that's what is the focus topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it goes beyond the concept of God as a maintainer, creator, destroyer. And that's the reason why we say that Bhagavatam is the essence of all scriptures. It is the postgraduate study after the study of Bhagavad Gita. It is also considered to be the, I would say, the natural commentary as given by our acharyas on the Vedanta Sutra. There really isn't any other commentary which is required, because Srimad Bhagavatam focuses on a topic which is completely above the topics that have been covered by any other scripture, and provides us the essence of such topics. Srimad Bhagavatam is also considered to be a treasure for the chanters of the holy name, because the chanters of the holy name come in touch with Kṛṣṇa while chanting Nama. When we call upon Kṛṣṇa as Nama, we are coming in touch with him in his personal name. We're calling him by his name, and we are coming in touch with him. Kṛṣṇa comes into the atmosphere when we call his Nama, and he comes into our heart. And the same Kṛṣṇa personified in the form of literature is Srimad Bhagavatam. There's no difference between Kṛṣṇa and Bhagavatam. There's no difference between Kṛṣṇa and his name. Those who are completely absorbed in chanting of the holy names discover Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Kṛṣṇa in the literary form, at a depth which is not seen if you're not a chanter of the holy name. So there is a direct link between deep absorbed chanting of japa and the understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a direct link between experiencing Kṛṣṇa whilst chanting japa and experiencing Kṛṣṇa through Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a direct link. One is able to appreciate the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam more and more, the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam, when they're also chanting the holy names, because they are non-different and they're experiencing the two in two different ways. It is the same Krishna who is coming forth in two different ways. This is very, very important for us to understand. Now, what is also important, one moment, please, just give me a second. Yes. What is also important for us to consider is the fact that while we chant the holy names, we are slowly, steadily giving up the sense of identity that is connected to this world. While we call upon Krishna's names, he purifies us and he elevates our consciousness because he is situated in the transcendental realm. When we come directly in touch with something like Krishna, who is the source of all incarnations, who is Samam Bonam, we automatically also receive a lot of purification and we elevate ourselves. Now, as we elevate ourselves, our understanding of Krishna's katha becomes more lucid. This understanding is absent if you're not chanting. So, in one sense, if you were to pick up the study of Srimad Bhagavatam, and today you're not chanting the holy names, but then you take up the chanting of the holy names, and subsequently, a year down the line, you're chanting for one full year, read the same chapters, and you will have somewhat of an improved understanding. Srimad Bhagavatam is dynamic. It communicates to us. It is not a book. It's dynamic. It's completely conscious. It is transcendental because non-different from Krishna. So there would be active participation and interaction of the devotee with Srimad Bhagavatam, if particularly the devotee has also developed a taste for chanting of the holy names, because by developing a taste for the chanting of the holy names, one has developed the rasa, the taste of wanting to establish a deeper relationship with Krishna. So as we make progress through the different stages of bhakti, one first comes in touch with the spiritual master. Faith is deposited in the heart, because when one comes in touch with the sound vibrations of those who are faithful, the sound vibrations enter into the heart and establish faith in our hearts. It's a critical point. And again, what is the qualification to establish faith in our heart? It's the question. What is the qualification to establish faith in our heart? The qualification to establish faith in our heart is to come in touch with the spiritual master through service. When one comes in touch with transcendental topics spoken by one who has deep faith, the sound vibration has the capacity to carry the transcendence into our ears. That sound vibration has the capacity to dislodge material content from our hearts and establish faith in our hearts. Faith grows through sound. In fact, the creation of this universe starts with sound. As a consequence, faith grows with sound. You create the spiritual agenda through sound vibrations heard from a sincere devotee who has studied Srimad Bhagavatam in the lineage of Srila Vyasadeva. Ours is a lineage of Srila Vyasadeva. We come in the line of Srila Vyasadeva. And as a consequence, when we have deep faith in the works of our predecessors, their faith is passed on to us. How is it passed on to us? It's passed on to us through two means. One, through katha, through Krishna katha and through Krishna nama. The second is through the service of the Guru. Faith comes to us, Krishna comes to us in two ways, through the Guru and through nama. So when we come in touch with such faith, our faith is established because the sound vibration from the lips of a devotee who is established in faith contains his knowledge of his relationship with Krishna. What is faith? What is the faith that we are talking about? What is faith? Prabhus and Matajis, I would like some participation. What is faith? Quantify faith for me. Define faith for me, please. Because we don't want to talk in riddles. We want to establish a clear understanding so that we could foster such understanding over several sessions as we move forward. So the question is, what is it which we call faith? So we sometimes hear, you have faith. If you have faith, you can do this. If you have faith, you can do that. What is faith? How do you define faith? Okay. Believe in the time process. Believe in the process. Oh, okay. You believe in the process. Okay. Believe in the process. But why would you believe in the process? Why would you believe in the process? Why would there be a belief in the process? What is it which you would call faith? What is it which you would call faith? Because, yes, believe in thorough experience, exactly. Because when we come in touch with those who are faithful and they give us faith, they are giving us the essence of their experiences. There is sambandha. There is Krishna's relationship in the heart of the devotee. And when the devotee is speaking, the sound vibrations carry the essence of his or her relationships. Those relationships, when they enter into our ears, establish such faith, because the faith is nothing but the relationship of the devotee with Krishna. How does that devotee establish faith? He establishes, or she establishes, faith through experiences. If I promise you that I'm going to give you 100,000 pounds, that's a promise. So when will you believe me? When will you develop deeper faith in me? If every week I start giving you 10,000 pounds and tell you that the next 10,000 is coming the following week, and the next 10,000 is coming 2 weeks down the line, because of experiences of receiving 10,000 pounds, you now have faith in my words. Faith and the quality of faith is directly proportional to experiences. When one experiences Krishna fully, when one has the capacity to see Krishna, when one has the capacity to hear Krishna's flute, when one has the capacity to talk to Krishna, then such a person's faith is no longer faith, it is complete experience, because such a person is in the spiritual sky. When such a person is writing scripture, then that scripture has the capacity to give faith. Why? Because he is directly experiencing Krishna, and he is rendering the direct experience in the form of literature. Srila Vyasadeva had direct experiences. He could see Karanodakashayi Vishnu. He could see the Lord lying on the causal ocean with universes manifesting out of the pores of his skin, and the universe is submerging into the pores of his skin after destruction. Srila Vyasadeva had a vision of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. He could see the Lord, after manifesting such a vision, going into one of these universes and then lying on the Garbhodaka ocean, and from his navel on a lotus sits Lord Brahma. Srila Vyasadeva saw this. He had pratyaksha, praman, proof for Lord Srila Vyasadeva was perception through direct senses. Srila Vyasadeva directly saw these events. Because he directly saw these events and he recorded them as he saw them, because that was a direct recording of a direct experience. When we come in touch with such experiences in the literary form, or when we come in touch with such experiences through someone who has already seen these things, then our faith increases, because they carry that faith and experience in their words. The sound vibration of a person of faith carries faith. That faith is experience. They have come in touch with Krishna at a far greater, profound level compared to us. When we hear their sound vibrations, their faith enters into our heart. When the Guru chants on the beads and he is giving us the beads, the Guru is also sharing his experiences of Krishna with us while he is chanting on the beads. So you automatically see a big improvement after initiation in chanting, because now the Guru has basically dislodged certain doubts, and he has established faith in our hearts, and his giving of our beads basically also gives us his experiences. Krishna Sambandha of the Guru comes through the process of chanting, and he gives it to us. This is the process of initiation. Initiation is the giving of faith. And the initiation process of the giving of faith is nothing but the sharing of the Guru's experiences, and he is giving that Sambandha Gyan. If the Guru is very elevated and has very profound experiences, then the disciple is very fortunate, because the road is open for him to experience such. He has already opened it. Sometimes the disciple is more profound, he's more accomplished than the Guru, and this is history. You have Bhakti Vinod Thakur, in one sense, being more prominent than his Guru. Before him, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj is seen in the parampara. Bhakti Vinod Thakur's initiating Guru is not seen in the parampara, in the lineage. Because of direct experience of mercy through Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhakti Vinod Thakur accepted him as a Siksha Guru. So both Siksha and Diksha are considered equal. One can have lineages of Diksha Gurus, one can have lineages of mixture of Siksha and Diksha Gurus. They're all in the same line of Lord Chaitanya, but then you have these different variations. So these experiences come through the chanting process. Sometimes the disciple is more accomplished. Sometimes the guru is more accomplished. If the guru is very accomplished, then the entire paving of the way to the spiritual sky is open for the disciple, because now he has already received the sambandha of the guru. To the extent of the faith of the disciple, he can accept it. Then he would be able to work towards reaching the understanding of his Guru Maharaj, because that blessing has been given, the sambandha has been given. This is very unique. It's a very transcendental, beautifully managed system, which is managed by Krishna's internal potency, Yogamaya, not external potency, internal potency. As a consequence, there are no faults in the system. It's organic. Evolution in the system is very organic. One proceeds in the direction they ought to be in based on their faith. If they have worked hard on their faith, they have the capacity to breach and be able to reach new levels of faith. This is exactly how it works. Harinam on its own can give faith. One is a sincere chanter of Harinam, they can receive faith. One requires a guru at all times for you to be able to move forward anyways. There needs to be a connection. And one chants Krishna's names with a connection, they develop deep faith. They have the ability to experience things. So this is faith. So this lineage of faith is captured in the literary form because Srila Vyasadeva has manifested this truth. He has seen this truth in his eyes. There's pratyaksha praman. This is called praman, proof, which has been experienced, pratyaksha. Right? And when this praman has been recorded, when his direct experiences and I would say reflections have been recorded in scripture, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, it becomes Shabda Praman. It becomes worthy for us to be able to quote scripture for rendering proof. So we can say that this is true because it says so in scripture. Why is it true because it says so in scripture? Is because the person who has authored such scripture has had direct experiences. There is pratyaksha. Because there have been direct experiences, this book, Srimad Bhagavatam, is completely conscious. It is transcendental. It is Krishna himself. These are direct experiences, just like the Naam, like the holy names. So when we come in touch with such faith, our faith increases. This is exactly how it works. So there is Ado, Shraddha. With that faith, we further foster and strengthen that faith through Sadhu Sangha. And then Sadhu Sangha is important because without the association of devotees, one cannot engage in abhideya, which is service. Once there is sambandha, the guru has given a connection to the movement. The next is to engage in activity, abhida, based on a set of principles given by the guru and with the association of others who also have similar faith. So that's bhajana kriya along with sadhu sangha. Then one engages in the chanting of the holy names, one is engaging in the reading of Bhagavatam, one is engaging in the worship of the deities, and one is engaging in visiting Vrindavan and strengthening their faith. And slowly, steadily, this evolutionary process reaches a point where we ourselves on an individual basis have the capacity to have direct experiences. Then we become carriers of very, very deep faith because our experiences are real. It's no longer simply a matter of theory, it's a matter of experience for us as well. This is the process. It is not about one pure devotee. This process is not about one pure devotee. This process is about millions and millions of pure devotees. The pathway has been opened up for millions and millions of souls to become pure devotees. And the source of such purity comes from those who have direct experience. So one has to appreciate Srimad Bhagavatam because the moment you touch it, your faith changes because it carries direct experience. It's literally Krishna. Just as much as hearing the holy names from one who has experienced the holy names at a deep level gives Krishna. If we are committing namaparad, if we are offensive in our daily japa, our doing Harinam is somewhat limited. If our doing of Harinam and our doing of daily japa is at the level of offenseless chanting, which is namabas, then we have the capacity to offer liberation to those who hear us. If our chanting of Harinam is full of experiences because we are now crossed over and we have direct contact with Krishna in certain ways, then we have the ability to practically give an experience of divine love, Krishna Prema. It is said, being around Srila Prabhupada, many devotees used to experience and have ecstatic symptoms because he used to carry such ecstasies within himself. Being around him in the physical environment used to produce ecstasies in the devotees as well. Some people used to have experiences which were far beyond their station, according to them, which is also true. They used to say that I saw this and I saw that. It was because they were around Prabhupada, and since he was carrying transcendence to the fullest extent, he was practically pushing out transcendence. As a consequence, people around him were experiencing things which they normally wouldn't experience on their own accord. So this is faith. You carry such faith, then you have the ability to give faith. You carry experiences, those experiences come out. They come out in sound vibration, they come out in deed, they come out in words. They come out in so many different ways because there are experiences. This is very important for us to understand when we're coming in touch with Bhagavatam. Please understand that every word written here, every description given here is a direct experience of Srila Vyasadeva. He has seen it, he has recorded it. Those who have faith in Srila Vyasadeva and are also chanting the holy names can see all of this. Krishna gives the opportunity for such devotees. As a consequence, when we're reading this, we want to first establish our faith. We have to accept it, saying, yes, this is something for me to taste in the future date by sincere endeavor and mercy. This is something to look forward to. It's a milestone for me to cross as well, where I would start living Srimad Bhagavatam because I would be able to experience what's being written here. I would be able to see what is written here. So it's a lot to look forward to. Now, the third chapter of the first canto basically is referring to the incarnations. When Srila Vyasadeva was recording this, he was seeing the pastimes of the incarnations. He was literally seeing the pastimes of the incarnations, and he was recording it. So let's go over these verses one by one. In the previous week, we touched upon the Purusha incarnations. We touched upon Kṛṣṇa Vishnu. We touched upon his expansion of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. We touched upon his expansion of the super soul, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. We then touched upon the fact that Lord Shiva is the glance of Kṛṣṇa Vishnu on primordial matter. We touched upon a few things in the previous week. Now we will get into the incarnations, but I just want to set the stage, and I want everybody in the audience to understand that these are direct experiences of Vyasadeva. Whatever is recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam has been seen. So we should be wary in accepting it exactly as it is, without interpretation. We do not need to have any interpretation. We can accept it because it's been seen by the personality who has written. So the first verse is, I'm going to read the verse, and then I will just read the translation. And then what I will do is, depending on the level of information required, I will pass on because I could have covered it, then I may skip and I may go forward. The objective is to complete the chapter today. So I just want to cover those verses which have not been covered. Sutta vacha jagre paurusham rupam bhagavan mahad adibhi sambhutam sodasakalam adau loka sikshashaya. Translation. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord first expanded himself in a universal form of the Purusha incarnation and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. And thus, at first, there was creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universes. When we use the word in the beginning of creation, it has many beginnings. The beginning of creation basically is also an eternity, because when did creation begin? We spoke of eternity, we spoke of time. We quantified time in the previous session. And we spoke of eternal time versus material time. We spoke of 1 day of the Devas being 1 year for us. We spoke of 1,000 yuga cycles within the day of Lord Brahma. We spoke of the fact that one inhalation and exhalation is the lifespan of Brahma. One inhalation and exhalation of Kṛṣṇa Vishnu is the lifetime of the Lord Brahmas of the various universes at different times. So these are an eternity. Just to conceive of trillions of years itself is an eternity. So one need not really question as to when did creation begin. So if there was a beginning, then when was it? What was there before that? one simply seems to understand that things have eternally existed because it's an eternity in itself. That kind of time, when we talk about trillions and trillions and trillions or quadrillions types of years, we're talking eternity here. We can't even conceive of that kind of a time. So in the beginning of creation, the Lord first expanded himself in the universal form of Purusha incarnation. What is this expansion? First Kṛṣṇa, then Balaram in Vraja. But Kṛṣṇa, first expansion is Balaram. From Balaram in Vraja, you have 4 quadruple forms. You have Vasudev, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna. This is Vasudev, who is Kṛṣṇa in Dwaraka. Then you have Sankarshana, who is Balaram in Dwaraka. They are expansions of Balaram in Vraja. And then you have from Balaram in Dwaraka, who is Mula Sankarshana, you have the expansion of Maha Sankarshana, which is the second quadruple expansion, which is again from Sankarshana, you have Vasudev, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna. The second Sankarshana, Maha Sankarshana, he is the source of all Purusha incarnations. Why did we say so? We said so because when Balaram manifests himself, Balaram is looking at Kṛṣṇa and saying, Kṛṣṇa, you be busy with your leelas. Have fun with the cowherd boys. Have fun with everything in Vrindavan. I will do all the heavy lifting. I'll do the work. So that's when Balaram expands and he becomes Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, carrying the essence of his essence of understanding of Kṛṣṇa into the other realm. So what we are trying to say is, basically, it is Balaram who steps out of Vrindavan. Kṛṣṇa never leaves Vrindavan. Kṛṣṇa is busy with Leela. It is Balaram who expands. It is Balaram who expands as the different avatars. It is Balaram who expands as Lord Ram. Yeah, it is Balaram who expands as Lord Narasimhadev. It's Balaram who expands as, Varahadev and so on. It is Balaram who is expanding because his particular principle of expansion is the Purusha avatars. First Purusha avatara, Karanodakashayi Vishnu. Second Purusha avatara is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Karanodakashayi Vishnu is lying on the causal ocean. This is the first incarnation of the Purushas. While lying on the causal ocean, it's called the causal ocean. It divides the material and the spiritual realms. While lying on the causal ocean, he is glancing at material energy. His glance is Shiva. He's impregnating material energy with his glance. All the jivas are impregnated into material energy. That material energy is Mother Durga. The glance of Mahavishnu is Shiva. Yeah? So these are 2 personalities. Now the same Karanodakashayi Vishnu, while he's lying and he's manifesting a universe, starts looking at the universe and saying, I must maintain this. He enters into the universe and there he becomes Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. This is the Vishnu who lies down, and from his navel you have Lord Brahma coming up on the lotus, on the stem of the lotus. In that particular stem, you have the 14 different planetary systems. You have the different planetary systems in that particular stem, 7 above, 7 below. Yeah. If you look at the earth as a reference, as a midpoint, you have 7 above, 7 below. These are 14 different planetary systems that are created from the navel. And Lord Brahma, who is sitting on top of the lotus, is sitting in Satyaloka, in Brahmaloka. This is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And then the Lord, as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, he basically also sees that so many jivas are being created. There are so many personalities who are being created in the world. Who will give them direction? Who is to provide them with intelligence? So he enters into each and every body as a super soul. So the super soul is Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who is the 3rd Purusha. This Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is also the Vishnu who, along with Brahma and Lord Shiva, is considered to be a Guna avatar. So there are 3 different gunas. You have Sattva, you have Rajas, and you have Tamas. Each of these has a personality, and each of these gunas also has a certain function in the universe. And they are all expansions of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So you have Garbhodakashayi Vishnu expanding himself in different ways. So Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is the Vishnu who sits and who lies down on the ocean of milk, as we call it. And then you have Lord Shiva, and then you have Lord Brahma. These are the Guna avatars. They maintain, destroy, and create the universe. Yeah. This is the maintenance, creation, and destruction. And that starts with Balaram's desire of not wanting to disturb Kṛṣṇa. He says, you don't get disturbed, Krishna. I will take care of everything. This is Sevaka Bhagavan. There really is no satisfaction for Balaram other than in service. This deep, deep desire to serve is what brings him as, in one sense, as Lakshman, where there's pure service. And then when he is Lakshman, he feels there's too much, formality between me and my older brother. I must become a friend. Then there is Balaram in Krishna Avatar, where there is all the formality is completely gone. So these are evolutions during the different manifestations of the Lord's pastimes. All evolutions of the Lord's pastimes or interactions of the Lord are simply rasa, simply his desire to have a connection with his devotees. So now you have the Purusha avatars, and that's being described as the first part. And then there is primordial nature, just as much as there is the principle of father, the seed-giving father. So when Krishna says that I'm the seed-giving father in the Bhagavad Gita, he is referring to himself as Lord Shiva. He is also referring to himself as Kṛṣṇa Vishnu, who is the Mahavishnu. Now, who is Advaita Acharya Prabhu? Advaita Acharya Prabhu is the same Mahavishnu. He feels intense compassion for the jivas. Why so? Because he has impregnated material nature with the jivas. Because he has sent the jivas into material nature, as a consequence, he feels deeply responsible to bring them back. That is the reason why Advaita Acharya Prabhu has such intense compassion for the jivas. He is Mahavishnu himself. He is the prototype. He is the original Shiva. He is Sadashiva. And from him is the other Shiva who expands and who plays the role of the father and the mother principle. You have Lord Shiva and Mother Durga in the material universe. These are expansions. The glance of Mahavishnu is Shiva. So in one sense, there is no difference between them. In another sense, there is difference because this glance of Mahavishnu, which has a personality, who is Shiva, is coming in touch with material nature, who is Mother Durga. So since Vishnu is coming in touch with material nature, you can't really call him 100% Vishnu. So he's considered to be Vishnu. He is not considered to be Jiva. At the same time, he is not either of those. He's in between. So there is a difference between Vishnu and Shiva, and there is no difference either. So the Brahma Samhita is comparing Lord Shiva with being yogurt and Krishna and Vishnu being milk. So there is no difference in one sense because yogurt and milk are simply transformations. But there is a difference as well. Because in yogurt, you have the sourness which has come into yogurt. The yogurt is basically milk that has turned in certain ways. And that sourness and the transformation is coming in touch with material energy. So when Vishnu comes in touch with material energy, there's a transformation. And that transformation is Shiva Tattva. There's no difference, but there is a difference. So you have the seed-giving father as Shiva. When Krishna says, I'm the seed-giving father, he's referring to Shiva. The mother who receives the entire creation in her womb is Mother Durga. So you have the father and mother principle of Lord Shiva and Mother Durga. Yeah? This principle is very, very important as well to understand. And these are expansions from Balaram. So there's great affinity of Lord Shiva to Balaram. There's great affinity. He constantly meditates on Balaram because he is the origin. Balaram is the origin of Lord Shiva. Balaram is the origin of all the Purushas. As a consequence, Lord Shiva meditates on Balaram, his origin. Now, let's go further into the next verse. Yasyambasi sayanasya yoga nidram vitanvatah nabi hirdam bhujadasid brahma vishvashajam patihi. A part of the Purusha lies down within the water of the universe. From the navel lake of his body sprouts a lotus stem, and from the lotus flower atop the stem, Brahma, the master of all engineers in the universe, becomes manifest. This is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. The first one was Karanodakashayi Vishnu. Karana means causal. He is the original cause of creation. Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. He is the secondary creator. He is the second Purusha. He is lying within the universe. If you notice, the navel is mentioned here. And from the navel stem, you have a stem of lotus coming up, and then you have Lord Brahma sitting on top of the lotus, and he is creating. In reality, even in the subtle body, in the astral body, as we call it in some circles, the potency for creation lies in the navel. The navel is the area where there's potency for creation. The creative potency lies in the navel. So that's also something which is quite unique, because this is also structured in the same way as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. When a mother who is pregnant, when the mother is pregnant, her body has the same construct as the universe. Garbhodaka literally means the water within the womb of the universe. And the Lord is lying on the water within the womb. And then from the Lord's navel, creation begins. In a similar fashion, you have the baby connected to the navel of the mother. Yeah, the navel of the baby, navel of the baby is connected to the mother. The baby is being fostered and taken care of. There is water in the womb. This construction of the female body is also the same as the construction of the universe. Creation, I just want to say that creation has a certain construct, and it is similar, if not the same. Third verse. Yasya vayava samsthanehi kalpito loka vistarah tadvai bhagavato rupam vishuddham sattvam urjitam. It is believed that all universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of the Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence. So he who is engaged in all kinds of activities of creation, maintenance, and destruction, in various ways, he is the source of all of these, is not touched by any of these. He is not touched by any of these because he's transcendentally situated. So the universe, if you look at the entire spectrum of spiritual and material, if we consider it as 100%, Shastra says 75% is spiritual, 25% is the material universe. And the material universe is also a part of the spiritual universe. It is simply one section of the spiritual universe. And in that particular section, you have all of these activities happening. And then our business through sadhana is to penetrate the particular division between these two divisions and go back to the 75%. Our business is to go from the 25% to the 75%. How do you go? You raise your consciousness like similar of the same quality as the 75% of the spiritual universe. Then you go back to the spiritual sky. You're raising your consciousness while being here, slowly, steadily ascending from ignorance to passion to goodness and going beyond to transcendence. And once situated in transcendence, developing a relationship with Kṛṣṇa, we go back to the spiritual sky. So we are in the 25%. Kṛṣṇa is in the 75% in one sense. Our business is to transcend and reach the 75%. So what I'm trying to say is that the Lord who is engaging in all of these activities of creation, maintenance, destruction, is completely untouched, unfazed. He is not in touch with, and he is completely unaffected, disaffected by any of this. He is transcendentally situated. Basically, they're saying he is not connected to any of this. He is transcendentally situated. All of this is happening through his potencies. He is transcendently situated. Pashyanti ado rupam madabra chakshusha sahasrapado uru bhujananad bhutanadbhutam sahasramurdra sravanakshi nasikam sahasramauli ambara kundalo lasat. My Sanskrit, I'm reading from English transliteration. It's very poor, so please forgive me. Those of you who are very discerning in the pronunciation of Sanskrit will find many faults with me. Please forgive me. It's not very good. The devotees with their perfect eyes see the transcendental form of the Purusha. The devotees with their perfect eyes see the transcendental form of the Purusha, who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms, and faces, all extraordinary. In that body, there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings and are adorned with garlands. Basically, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, the Lord who lies in the Garbhodaka ocean, supporting the universes, when the devotees see them, they are basically seeing a manifestation of the Lord with all kinds of, I would say, helmets and all kinds of paraphernalia. And this is basically spread out, thousands and thousands. They don't see one, but they see thousands, because he has spread himself out and he's supporting the various material universes. He is supporting the creation in so many different ways. They see this. All of them are completely transcendental. This is not the universal form. Yeah? This is not the universal form. The universal form is a material manifestation, because the universal form contains aspects of Kṛṣṇa which are basically ruled with the time factor which is pertaining to the material world. So this is distinct from the manifestation of the universal form. So they're not talking about the universal form. We shouldn't mix this up, because the language is similar. They're talking about the Lord himself in the spiritual sky, and he is thousands of years, thousands of helmets, and he is positioned that way. This vision is not necessarily the description of the universal form. This vision is particularly a description of the Lord Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And the universal form is a manifestation of the Lord in the material universe, where he shows that everything in the material universe is connected to him. And that form is not permanent, because the universe basically gets destroyed and then is recreated. But the form which is being spoken of here in Srimad Bhagavatam is in the spiritual sky. Etanana avataranam nidanam bijam avyayam yasyam samsena srijante devatiryan naradayah. This form, the second manifestation of the Purusha, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnations within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form, different living entities like demigods, men, and others are created. So the Purusha, after creating innumerable universes, he's entering into each of them as the second Purusha, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So this is the description of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, because in each and every universe he enters in and he's maintaining. He is within us as the super soul. This super soul who is within us is an expansion of the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. This is the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, the third Purusha incarnation. This Lord as the super soul who is within us is maintaining us. He's giving us intelligence. And in a similar fashion, when he enters into a universe as the second incarnation, as the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, he is maintaining that universe. Sa evam pratamam devah kaumaram sargam ashritah chachara duscharam brahmacharyam akanditam. First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were 4 unmarried sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, who, being situated in a vow of celibacy, underwent severe austerities for realization of the absolute truth. The Kumaras are considered to be an incarnation of the Lord, and amongst his 6 different opulences of beauty, fame, wealth, power, beauty, fame, wealth, knowledge, power, and renunciation, they exhibit the potency of knowledge. So they are exhibiting the potency of knowledge. They are an incarnation of the Lord as well. So there is a potency of the Lord. The potency of the Lord can manifest itself in a certain person, and he can be considered as an incarnation because he is empowered. So different grades of incarnations. This is one grade where a certain potency of the Lord enters into a person, and they exhibit that potency to such a dramatic extent that they can be considered to be an incarnation. Dvitiyam tu bhavayasya rasatalagatam mahim uddharishyan upadatta yajnesha saukaram vapuhu. The first incarnation are the 4 celibate sons of Lord Brahma, and those 4 sons of Brahma are considered to be the knowledge potency of the Lord. So he exhibits his potency of knowledge, transcendental knowledge, through them. They are basically celibates for life. They are also basically Brahmavadis. They were also very attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam when they came in touch. They understood the essence of the personality of the Lord after coming in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said, not through Bhagavatam, basically through the scent of the tulsi leaves which were offered to the Lord. So in that sense, the Brahmavadis, the Kumaras, they were incarnations, but they were also completely captured by the personality of the Lord. Their particular affiliation, or I would say affinity, was towards the inclination of understanding Krishna's Brahman form, the form of Kṛṣṇa as the absolute truth in terms of his Brahman expansion. And they became completely bewildered by smelling the scent of the tulsi leaves and the tulsi manjaris that were offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. So it's very important for us to know that the first incarnation is being spoken of as the Kumaras. Dvitiyam tu bhavayasya rasatalagatam mahim uddarishyan upadatta yajnesha saukaram vapuhu. Saukaraha, in this verse, saukara, sukara means boar, pig, boar, literally a boar. So the second incarnation is Sri Varahadev. The supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices accepted the incarnation of a boar. And for the welfare of the earth, he lifted the earth from the nether regions of the universe. Hiranyaksha hides the earth in the nether regions. Lord Sukara, this is the other name of Lord Varaha. Lord Sukara, the second name of Lord Varaha, he goes deep into this ocean and picks up Mother Earth and brings her back and places her in an appropriate position for the resumption of souls populating Mother Earth and for the creation to begin again. So imagine the stem emerging from the navel of Mahavishnu. On that particular stem of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, you have the 14 planetary systems. Hiranyaksha was so powerful, he took the Earth planet from that particular arrangement and hid the Earth planet below the Lord in the Garbhodaka ocean. He just went deep into the Garbhodaka ocean. The Lord then incarnates from Brahma. He incarnates from Brahma's nose. Yeah? And he goes in the form of a boar. And how is he recognized by devotees when he takes on the form of a boar? His eyes are so beautiful. His eyes are so beautiful that the devotees who see the incarnation taking this gigantic form of a boar recognize that this is the Lord because his eyes are so beautiful. So he goes deep into this ocean, picks up Mother Bhumi, brings her back up and places her amongst the planetary systems so that the whole process of souls moving from lower planetary systems to the earth, higher planetary systems to the earth, and then engaging in devotional service, this could be properly done. Lord Varaha Saukara, we mentioned this the last time we spoke, is also worshipped for difficult pregnancies, because just as much as he saved creation by diving deep into the Garbhodaka ocean and ensuring that creation process remains afloat and is still on, he protects pregnancies as well. We mentioned this. So this is very, very beautiful because the construct of the universe and the construct of the mother is almost the same. Yeah, it is this, it's similar. Tritiyam rishi sargam vai deva rishitvam upetya saha tantram satvatam achasta naishkarmyam karmanam yataha. In the millennium of the rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the third empowered incarnation in the form of Deva Rishi Narada, who is a great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions of the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action. Whenever there's something super special that has to happen in devotional service, in the area of devotion, Sri Narad Muni is always present. He is either initiating the devotee with a mantra, or educating someone, or he is inspiring action. He is always present. He is basically the incarnation of the Lord for empowering devotion. Yeah, he empowers devotion. He is basically an incarnation of the Lord. So he carries the potency of the Lord to inspire devotional service. He carries the potency of the Lord to inspire devotional service. So he instructed Prahlad Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, when he goes away to the forest, he receives a mantra from Sri Narad Muni. Sri Narad Muni initiates Prahlad Maharaj. Sri Narad Muni instructs Sri Valmiki to start the rendering of Sri Ramayana. Sri Narad Muni is instructing Srila Vyasadeva to start Srimad Bhagavatam. At the head of every endeavor, which is connected to devotional service, Sri Narad Muni is always present because he is the empowered incarnation of the Lord, carrying the potency of the Lord to empower others to engage them in devotional service. He carries the potency to engage them in non-fruitive action. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam. This particular action, which has no fruitive desires, neither does it desire just a liberation. That particular action is being inspired by Sri Narad Muni. Non-fruitive action is the main focus here. Basically, he goes beyond. He is present in every juncture where the devotee wants to engage in activity which is pleasing to the Lord, wants to engage in bhakti. This empowerment for bhakti comes from Sri Narad Muni. He carries the potency of the Lord to offer that particular bhakti, So this is also, in one sense, it's knowledge. It is also, in one sense, knowledge. You can say in terms of being the potency of the Lord to offer knowledge. This is also, in one sense, knowledge. So amongst the 6 different opulences, Sri Narad Muni is also talking about that particular aspect. And the principles of worship we engage in our temples comes from the Narada Pancharatra. How to worship Krishna in such a way that it does not become impersonal. How do you worship Krishna in such a way that it cultivates bhakti? This principle of worship it comes from Narada Pancharatra. That Pancharatra Vidhi, the particular directions of how to worship, has come from Sri Narad Muni. And we have adapted it in our temples as well. It is also found in the other bona fide sampradayas, Vaishnava sampradayas. Because the objectives, if the objectives differ whilst worshipping Krishna, then one can be completely engaging in activity which is directly the opposite of what is required of in bhakti. So as a consequence, for one to worship carefully, to foster deep sense of devotion, there has to be a specific approach, and that approach is being educated by Sri Narad Muni. That's the additional action. Turye dharmakala sarge nara narayana varishihi bhutavatmo pasemo petam akaro duscharam tapahan. In the 4th incarnation, the Lord became Nara and Narayana, the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma. Thus he undertook severe and exemplary penances to control the senses. As Nara Narayana Rishi, they first spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Narad Muni heard Srimad Bhagavatam and discussed Srimad Bhagavatam from them. And then he came and then asked Sri Vyasadeva to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Vyasadeva passes on this knowledge to Srila Sukadeva Goswami. This Nara Narayana Rishi, who are incarnations of the Lord, basically are propagating his opulence of renunciation. The idea of renunciation is being propagated by them. So of the 6 opulences, the focus is renunciation. Panchamaha Kapilo Nama Siddeshah Kala Vitplutam Provacha Suraye Sankyam Tattvagrama Vinirnayam. The 5th incarnation, named Lord Kapila, is foremost amongst perfected beings. He gave an exposition of the creative elements in metaphysics to Asuri Brahmana, for in course of this time this knowledge has been lost. So the 5th incarnation is Lord Kapila. He is spoken about in the 3rd chapter, the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The prelude to Lord Kapila's appearance is the sacrifice of Mother Devahuti in the service of her husband, and is also the husband viewing Mother Devahuti and her sacrifice and changing his nature to accommodate her sacrifice and to give her her desires. The exchange between Mother Devahuti and Lord Kapila's father, Kardama Muni, is considered to be very, very special in terms of understanding of how the husband and wife have to function in Grihastha Ashram. This is very important. For Grihastha Ashram, the interaction between Mother Devahuti and Kardama Muni is exemplary, and that has to be read carefully, because that gives a direct example and direct perception of how things should be within the Grihastha ashram. What is the mood of two people who come from completely opposite, diametrically different environments, and whose experiences are very different, whose desires are so very different? How do they get around together and cooperate? That's being shown in that particular exchange. Lord Kapila, Kṛṣṇa himself, is born to Mother Devahuti and Kardama Muni because of their exemplary cooperation and action as Grihasthas. Shastamatreerapat yatvatam vita prapto nasudya anviksh kim alarkaya prahaladibhya uchivan. The sixth incarnation of the Purusha was the son of sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahalada, and others. This is Lord Dattatreya. The sixth incarnation is Lord Dattatreya, who is basically considered to be an incarnation of all the three Guna avatars. He is Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva together in one person. He was born to sage Atri and Mother Anasuya. He is the guru of Prahalad. He is also the guru of the Ahayas, the personality who challenged sage Parashuram. It is said that even great personalities like sage Parashuram also drew knowledge from him. Lord Dattatreya is referred to in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Kṛṣṇa talks to Uddhava and he tells him about the Avanti Brahmana, the Avaduta Brahmana. That Avaduta Brahmana is Lord Dattatreya. The Avaduta Brahmana is Lord Dattatreya. And as a consequence, he finds his time in Srimad Bhagavatam, and he is basically featured as the teaching of Kṛṣṇa to Uddhava. And he talks about the Avadut Brahmana. The Avadut Brahmana is Lord Dattatreya. This is the opinion of our Acharyas. Tatah saptama akutyam rucheryajño vyayajayata sayamadhyaihi suraganer apat swayambhuvantaram. The seventh incarnation was Yajna, the son of Prajapati Ruchi and his wife Akuti. He controlled the period during the reign of Swayambhuva Manu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama. Basically, the living entity in its purest state has 78% of the qualities of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord, as Kṛṣṇa, has 64 qualities in full. And the living entity has 78% of the 64 qualities, which is 50 qualities, but in very, very, very minuscule, minute form. When the living entity purifies himself or herself and reaches full potential of the 50 qualities, then he is eligible to become Brahma. Because Lord Brahma has 50 qualities of the Supreme Lord in a great quantity compared to the living entity. He is Jiva. Lord Brahma is Jiva, but has a tremendous amount of potency compared to the minuscule living entity. But when the same living entity, which is us, when we work and we purify ourselves and we reach the full potential of those particular 50% or 50 qualities, the 78%, then we become eligible to enter into the service of the Lord as Brahma. So at some times during the process of creation, which is trillions of years, such a qualified entity may not be found within the material creation. And as a consequence, the Lord himself takes on the position of Brahma. So Lord Yajna is the seventh incarnation, and he basically takes on the position of Brahma during that particular kalpa. Ashtame meru devyam tu nabir jata urukramah darsayan vartamadiranam sarvashrama namaskritam. The eighth incarnation was King Rishabha, son of King Nabi and his wife Meru Devi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. We will read about Vrishabdev when we come to the sixth canto. Rishibiryachuto beje navamam partivam vapuhu dugdemam osadev vipras tenayam sausattamah. O Brahmanas, in the ninth incarnation, the Lord, prayed for by sages, accepted the body of a king, Prithu, who cultivated the land to yield various products, and for that reason the earth was beautiful and attractive. Prithvi, it is said, Prithvi, the earth planet, is named after King Prithu. So in one sense, his father was extraordinarily vicious, and he was removed by the transcendental sages. He was literally burnt down and removed by the transcendental sages. The Lord then descends to take over as the king, to very specifically show the discipline and the idea of what it means to take on the responsibility of a king. So that's King Prithu. He is also considered to be, he's an incarnation. He is the ninth incarnation. Rupam sajagrehe matsyam chakshushodari samplave navyaropya mahimayam apad vaivaswatam manum. When there was complete inundation after the period of Chakshusha Manu, and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected Vaivasvata Manu, keeping him on a boat. It's quite interesting. This is the Matsya avatar. It is considered to be the first avatar amongst the Dasa avatar. When we talk about the most prominent incarnations, it is considered to be one of the primary avatars, Matsya avatar. Okay, so basically we are already at 15 minutes past 4. It's been 1 full hour. Because there could be questions, I think I'm going to need one more session to conclude this chapter, which is the following week. What I plan to do is I will just end with this verse, which is verse 16, and we will continue the remaining 15 verses in the concluding session, which is next week. So I'll just read this verse and then take questions from you or comments from you if you have any. Sura suranam uddadim matnatam mandarachalam dadre kamata rupena prishta ekadase vibhu. The 11th incarnation of the Lord took the form of a tortoise whose shell served as a pivot for the Mandrachala hill, which was being used as a churning rod by the theists and the atheists of the universe. The Lord here appears as Kurma, the tortoise. He is also given the name Akuparaya in the Bhagavatam. The prayers are also offered to Lord Kurma as Akuparaya. One who prays to Lord Kurma develops the ability to carry the burden of others. They develop the ability to carry their own burden. They also develop the ability to carry the burden of others. And this Lord Kurma, when he appears as a tortoise, he basically incarnates and supports the karma yoga of both the asuras and the devas. He is basically allowing them to use his back as a platform to engage in activity, which is churning of the Mandarachala hill, by which all kinds of wonderful things appear. And that particular activity is being supported by him. So he basically facilitates the action of karma yoga, which is being engaged in by both the theists and the atheists. Okay, so we stop here, and today we were wanting, very quick summary, today we were wanting to conclude, but the pace in which we are going, I prefer doing this in one more session rather than trying to hurry through the remaining 15 verses. One of them is a big one, and I don't want to hurry through it. So next week we will surely finish this chapter. But the idea is basically we are looking at the various incarnations of the Lord, and we are wanting to understand the specific qualities of the Lord which are being exemplified, or I would say amplified, in that particular incarnation. And we want to be able to examine the incarnations. We want to examine the Purusha incarnations of how Kṛṣṇa manages the universe. We want to understand the workings before we finally come to understand Kṛṣṇa as Krishnastus Bhagavan Swayam, that he is the source of all of this. And we then want to examine what is it which is required for us to be able to better appreciate Srimad Bhagavatam. The next chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the advent of Sri Narad Muni, because he basically is the origin, or I would say he is the empowered incarnation who protects and cultivates and initiates bhakti and fosters and empowers others for devotional service and non-fruitive action. So we'll talk about him in a subsequent chapter, which is the 4th chapter. So today we'll stop here and we'll see if you have any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Haribol.
So I was wondering if you could kind of explain a little bit more about the mother and father principle when you were describing Lord Shiva and Parvati in their role in creation.
Sure. Basically, at the end of creation, there is primordial matter. Primordial matter is matter, something like sculpting clay. And the sculpting clay itself is not animated, because the jivas have to enter into the sculpting clay, take shapes and forms, and then receive even further shapes and forms due to the karma in subsequent births, and then animate this sculpting clay. So this primordial matter is impregnated with jivas. This impregnation is done by Mahavishnu, who lies in the causal ocean. As he manifests universes, and then universes come into the pores of his skin, and the universes leave the pores of his skin, and he has to begin creation again, he glances at material nature. That particular glance of Mahavishnu takes on a personality. That personality is Lord Shiva. So this whole principle of impregnation of material nature by the jivas is considered to be an act of Lord Shiva. So that's how he plays the role of father. It is originally done by Kṛṣṇa. He's glancing, but the glance has a personality, and that personality is Lord Shiva. The mother receives this creation in her womb, and that is Mother Durga. Someone has to receive this creation, nurture it. She receives this creation, fosters it. That's why she's called the Divine Mother. She's fostering it. And then her consort, Lord Shiva, is principally the father. But from a secondary perspective, the primary father, the origin is Kṛṣṇa, but the secondary is Lord Shiva. When Kṛṣṇa refers to him specifically in the function of a seed-giving father in material nature, he's talking about himself as Shiva. I hope this answered your question, or did I just repeat myself? I hope I clarified.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, Bishal is asking, how is Subhadra Maharani connected to Durga? Well, she is considered to be the Yogamaya potency of the Lord. So it's like a sister. The internal potency. Any other question?
Hare Krishna Shivanam.
Haribol, that's right.
I was listening to Prabhupada's lecture yesterday, and I thought it was quite interesting. He was saying how Krishna didn't, well, Rahadev, he didn't take, it's not that he came as a boar, but he took the shape of a boar. So I thought that was quite interesting. Could you clarify that?
He took the shape of a boar. He incarnated, yes, he took the shape of a boar because he appeared as a boar. Even Lord Brahma saw him as a boar.
Yeah.
I think what I'm trying to say is that that's basically the form that the Lord took. Just as much as you have the form of the Lord as Narasimhadev and the form of the Lord as Matsya, So I'm not sure if your question has to do with the semantics of taking the shape versus being that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, I don't see the difference, to be honest. I don't see the difference. I don't see a distinction between the two. The understanding is that the Lord incarnates, descends as Varahadev, and Varaha is the boar. People recognize him. Even Lord Brahma is very surprised because he appears from his nostril. He sees this very, very small creature appearing from his nostril, then growing in size, becoming gigantic to such an extent that it is extraordinarily surprising. Then he dives into the ocean. How do they recognize that he is Varahadev? I mean, he is the incarnation of the Lord because his eyes are so beautiful. It's just quite a beautiful description, actually.
Thank you.
Sure.
Probably have one more question as well, but not necessarily what you were speaking about today. Should I say it at the end or ask at the end?
You can ask now. It's okay. You can ask now.
Thanks. It's in regards to Prashadam. Two questions really. When does Prashadam become Mahaprashadam? And also, some devotees have said that when we make Bhog and then we offer a little bit of Bhog to the deities, that becomes Prashadam. But whatever's in the container that's left over, that is not Prashadam yet because the whole of it has not been offered. So they would still offer, let's say a couple of hours after, the remaining amount that's in the container.
So is your question as to whether the entire bowl has turned into prasadam?
Yes. If you offer a little bit.
Well, basically, if it is cooked with devotion, if it is prepared with deep devotion, the Lord begins eating even before you put it in front of him. So, yeah, he is basically already accepted it. If you're going to cook with deep devotion, his acceptance of what you're cooking happens even before you place it before him. Yeah, if there is such love between the devotee and the Lord, it already happens. There's no need of formality. But the way I'm understanding this is that it's basically when you place a plate in front of him, and then there's a big pot of the same ingredients, we normally offer the plate and then we mix it back, which is what we normally do. So I think that should be our idea as well, that the moment you make an effort, you put something very practical in front of the Lord for the Lord to honor. He glances at it, especially if you have offered it with devotion. So in that sense, just because it's kept in front of him doesn't mean he's going to accept it. If it is cooked with devotion, he could even accept it even before you put a plate in front of him. And if it is cooked with devotion, the little offering that you make can exemplify and render the rest of what is made being pure as well. Then you could always mix it. Does it make sense?
Yes, thank you. And also some devotees, they say that when it's been offered, now it's Mahaprashadam when you put it back, but is it Mahaprashadam when you offer it to a Vaishnav? That's when it becomes Mahaprashadam. And then you take.
It normally is said that when you offer it to a Vaishnav, considering that the Lord has accepted, and then the Vaishnav accepting, and then accepting the remnants of the Vaishnav is how you receive faith. So because the Vaishnav is even more merciful compared to the Lord, in that sense, you can call it Mahaprashadam. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's a matter of who is going to be more merciful. The Vaishnav is going to be more merciful than the Lord. Accepting the remnants of the Vaishnav is considered to be more potent than accepting the remnants of the Lord.
Yes.
That's the argument. It's a matter of who can give mercy.
Thank you.
Sure. Looks like you're cooking a lot of prasadam, Raj Prabhu.
I'm trying. We just need
a lot of prasadam.
We just need we just need you to come and honor it, Prabhu. And then we'll take.
You have to come to Vrindavan and cook then.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Haribol.
Haribol. This is Parveen Sajpal. First of all, immense gratitude for the Bhagavatam classes. I, only expressed my desire about 2 weeks before you started the classes. So I feel very fortunate that Krishna is very merciful, because I only started like Krishna consciousness 6-7 months ago. And I had a very deep desire to come to Vrindavan, so I'm yearning, I just want to run to Vrindavan. And my question is, because I was like Durga Ma's devotee all my life, so I just see it as a progression, like Durga, like we said, is Subhadra Rani. So I just see it as a promotion. So Subhadra Rani has called me to Kṛṣṇa now. So, but I am very, very, sorry, I'm desiring to learn Bhagavatam as quickly as possible, because the question was in my mind was, Parikshit Maharaj, he knew he's got a week left, but I haven't got, I don't know how long I've got left, because I lost my brother last year. So
I'm so sorry to hear this.
thank you so much for starting the classes, but I want your blessings to progress, as soon as possible. So I do attend the classes and I do try to read Bhagavatam, but I think there is still like covering being a mother. So how do I progress? Because like now, especially this is Navratri time, so I still did Mass Jyot, because I used to do like Akhand Jyot, but I do chanting and I'm reading Bhagavatam regularly, and I listen to all the kathas whenever possible. Walking, cooking, I'm listening to the kathas. So is it okay, or will I be like, will there be an offense like moving on? So how do I, because I've still got the deities like Durga Ma's deities and Lord Ganesha, Lord Hanuman. So like I just had a dream as well only few days ago, because like I was going to watch Bhagavatam and I was just like having a power nap, and then I like had a dream, oh, the Bhagavatam is starting, and then Lord Hanuman, he just came down, he sat down as well where the Jyot is going. So then I get confused, am I going to be praying to Lord Hanuman like I used to do before, or shall I just keep just doing my chanting?
Very good. So it's a very nice question. So here's the thing. Those who have blessed us to come on the path of Krishna consciousness should always be honored. That's the first principle. Mother Durga and the devotees of the Lord, such as Lord Hanuman, are always to be honored with great respect, because they give us so much protection and guidance on the way to Krishna consciousness, and they help us move towards Krishna very sincerely. So there's no doubt about her position in your life, that she has given you blessings for you to come closer to Krishna, because it is said that when one is very sincere in the worship of the demigods, and when they don't ask for anything from Mother Durga, Lord Shiva, or anybody, they're offering their ananya bhakti, they're offering their bhakti, then these great personalities bless them with a taste for Krishna consciousness. So you indeed are blessed with the taste because of your devotion to Mother Durga. So there's no necessity for you to feel guilty about being in touch, expressing your gratitude.
Yeah, because I only used to ask Bhakti and Shakti. So because I asked my dad, I said, I don't ask anything because people ask for all these things. And my dad, he always told us, no, you only ask for Bhakti and Shakti. You're very right then, Prabhuji, yes. So Durga Mata has blessed me.
I'm sure she has blessed you because you're in touch with devotees now. So my advice to you is as follows. Your question of how to strengthen yourself and how to make advancement, you need to have 5 principles in mind. The 5 main principles which you have to strengthen on a daily basis are developing a keen desire to come in touch with those who are also wanting the same thing as yourself. Very specifically, coming in touch with those who can inspire you to chant. So hearing classes from devotees who can inspire you to chant is very important. Second would be chanting should never be given up. It should be improved upon. It should be taken as sadhana and you improve upon it. The third would be the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam on a daily basis. The fourth would be the desire to come to Vrindavan, which you already have. You should cultivate this desire on a daily basis. It doesn't mean that you have to leave everything and come, but desire is more important. And then finally, eventually reaching the point of being able to worship a deity of Lord Krishna so that you could come closer to him. Of these principles, the easiest to implement are the first 3, where you come in touch with the devotees of the Lord, you also chant, and you reach Srimad Bhagavatam. My advice to you is just focus on this for now, and you will see remarkable changes occur in your life.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yeah, 3 are happening, the first 3. The 4th one, Vrindavan, that will be done by Vrindavan Prabhu, yourself, Prabhuji. You have to arrange that for me, sorry. So,
fine.
because
Don't
I'm
worry.
so happy you are there, so I keep telling everyone, Vrindavan Prabhu is there, so I'm going to ask him to please arrange. Prabhuji, I can't wait. You know, my daughter's finishing her exams by June. I know it's going to be very, very hot, but I will definitely be there in
Sure.
July, August time. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
There are many devotees who come. Yes, surely. Yeah.
Yes. I keep asking all the devotees, please let me know when you're going to Vrindavan because I can't wait. So I spent
Sure.
time with some devotees yesterday. So I keep expressing to all the devotees. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Not at all.
Hare Krishna, I just have a question. What is the difference between white incarnation and red incarnation of Varahadev?
There are different kalpas or different time periods when the color of the Lord changes, and there's a distinction which there's a more elaborate description which we will discuss when we come and discuss his incarnation, because there's a lot of information that's available. But this is basically the appearance of the Lord in different kalpas, different time periods with different objectives.
Okay.
We'll talk more when we come to the incarnation, because it's difficult to cover that in this as a question. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Any other question or comment before we move further?
Hare Krishna.
Haribo?
I'm just wondering if you could just clarify again the ways that we can work on building faith. So I believe you mentioned sadhu sangha with devotees, that's elevated devotees, and you also said bhajana kriya, so serving the elevated devotee as well. Is that the complete picture? Have I got it right?
Yes, faith, basically faith is built by coming in touch with the faithful. So we want to look at the primary processes of bhakti, which are essential to be practiced on a daily basis. The most important being the chanting of the holy names. So we want to see how we could come in touch with devotees who can inspire us to chant. When you hear the classes of devotees who inspire you to chant, then hearing more and more of the katha will carry their interest in chanting onto your heart, and then we are able to chant. So that's one way of receiving faith. So what is faith? We need to examine faith by looking at our own level of interest in Krishna consciousness. If on a month-by-month basis or a year-by-year basis, if we were to make a comparison, and we notice that our interest in association, our interest in chanting, our interest in reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and our interest in wanting to come in touch with Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, all of these are increasing on a day-by-day basis, then we would know that our faith indeed is increasing. It's a good way for us to measure it with practical aspects of devotional service. And if we find that there's deep disinterest in the main activities propounded by the gurus and the sadhus, then that's a time for us to introspect, because our faith has reduced. And the way faith is to be increased is to come in touch with the faithful. Sound vibrations and the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is a must. And then service to the devotees is also very, very important. Once we render service by oral reception, we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and we also render service to the devotees in different ways, then we develop deeper and deeper faith, because mercy is given. And as a consequence, our chanting will improve. So we need to examine our japa, we need to examine our interest in Bhagavatam to see if we are more and more interested on a day-by-day basis, or is our interest static, or is it waning? Then we need to make certain examinations. What I'm saying is you have to, basically you need to benchmark yourself with the main activities. If you can't benchmark yourself with the main activities that are somewhat external, it's difficult to discern if you've developed faith. What is faith? Faith in one sense is the ability to follow instructions. So if you can't follow instructions, then we have some difficulty. If we can follow instructions, then we have deep faith. So as a consequence, we have to make an examination to see if we're able to do what we carried out in the previous year. Are we able to improve upon it this year? Are we doing better? Then we know that our faith has improved indeed.
Thank you. And can I also clarify, you said hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Is it not the same as reading? Is reading not enough? Or you have to actually hear as well?
I would say that both are the same. by rendering service to the devotees of the Lord empowers one to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. That empowerment given by the Lord is empowerment to both read and hear.
Thank you.
Sure.
Prabhuji, I've got one more question, please.
Sure. Mhm.
Yeah. Like Srila Prabhupada ji, you know, we do Mahamantra. But if we want to sit down and like just chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, so when they say it's time conducive, because I actually linked up with a spiritual foundation last year, and they said, you know, do chanting. So slowly, gradually, we were building up from half an hour to hour, 2 hours, and I've seen like a lot of changes in myself. Of you know, working on like our vices, because anger, greed, and stuff like that. So I've seen, because I used to be worrying, like I said, about my brother. So it was very, very difficult position. But then by the time I lost my brother, I was very strong to come to terms with that. So I was quite happy, you know, and because they were saying to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So now, because I do Mahamantra as well, but then sometimes I want to sit down and do Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So when they say it's time conducive mantra, so what does that mean?
When you're saying that this is time conducive, are you referring to the fact that this is the mantra given for this particular age? Is that what you're referring
because
to?
yes, because Srila Prabhupada ji, they gave us the Mahamantra. I know, because Krishna consciousness suits our lifestyle, because I brought up my children. We are all pure vegetarian from my birth, my children, as you know. So this is the right. But then, because at that point I needed somebody, so I found that, you know, foundation. So I'm still attending their satsang as well on Sundays. So this is not an offense, you know, because I'm only like worshipping Krishna both ways.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
The clarification is, when we call upon Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Yeah.
the calling upon Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is basically addressing Krishna in one sense, in his feature of being the king of Dwaraka, the son of Vasudeva as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst we chant the holy names as the Hare Krishna mantra, the mantra given by Srila Prabhupada, we are basically paving the way to reach Vrindavan, to have a personal relationship with the Lord, with his associates in Vrindavan.
Mm-hmm.
So each mantra, even though addressing the name of the Lord, has a certain destination associated with it, has a certain Shakti and potency associated with it, and has a certain destination, or rather goal, associated with it as well.
Right.
So that is the first point. Second point, I mentioned this earlier in today's class. When the Mahamantra is chanted by Prabhupada, he is passing on his entire understanding of Vrindavan and his sambandha, his connection with Krishna, through the chanting of Harinam, when we hear that.
Yes.
And as a consequence, we also have the ability to make some inroads and develop that connection with Krishna on the way Srila Prabhupada wants us to. So sometimes what I'm suggesting is that it is easier if you were to just 100% focus on one process, so that you can measure your progress and you can move forward. However, if you're attracted to Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya because of some previous habit that you had before this, and if you feel like chanting it, there's no harm in it. I'm saying that is not a bad thing, but you need to understand that the Harinam that Srila Prabhupada gave has a certain purpose, it has a certain construct, it has a certain goal associated with it as well.
Yes.
So both. So I just want you to be aware of the understanding. That's all.
Yeah. But if I chant like for half an hour Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, then it is still okay, because like we do say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya before we read Bhagavatam.
It is fine. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
See, as a mala, it is fine. But I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, the main sadhana that is given to is Harinam. So just have that understanding. That's all.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry, Prabhu, can I ask another question?
Yes, please.
So I'm wondering, would we be okay to, if we want to develop certain qualities, like for example, that the incarnations represent, for example, Narayana Rishi, they represent austerity, or Narada Muni represents devotional service and bhakti. So would we be okay to incorporate that into our daily practice, just saying, just with the intention of, I want to develop more of these qualities, maybe I should spend time praying to Narada Muni today, or would we be okay to do that, or is that just something that's complicating things and we should be more simplified?
Not so much. In fact, you brought up a beautiful point, but it requires a little bit of thought in implementation. Because when we read scripture, the personalities in scripture are meant to inspire us in different ways. That's the whole reason for coming in touch with scripture. That is true with even the incarnations of the Lord. When we very deeply worship and get attached to an incarnation of the Lord, there's a certain principle associated with such incarnations which also begin inspiring us in reverse. So in other words, that becomes also something that we can identify with in certain ways, certain principles that come to us when we come to touch. For example, I'm giving you an example. If one were to read Sri Ramayana, if one were to get very deeply absorbed into Ram Katha, the pastimes of Lord Ram, then tomorrow being Ramanavami, today being Ramanavami in some parts, but Ramanavami, I was just wanting to say that one who is chanting the names of Lord Sri Ram will become extraordinarily duty conscious just as he was. Do you understand? So that's a certain potency which is contained within the personality of Godhead, where chanting of their names will bring such opulences or such gifts onto us. But having that understanding on one side, we should also take into account the understanding given to us by our acharyas. Our acharyas, further down, as we're going to discuss in the following week, we're going to see that Kṛṣṇa is he is the avatari. He is not the avatar. He is the origin of all the avatars. So when we chant his names and when we chant the names of Kṛṣṇa, then we develop all the qualities that are necessary to personally serve him. So those qualities come to us as well. So in some sense, what I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with the principle that you're bringing up, but a mantra needs to develop over a period of time. If you don't invest energy into one single mantra, it's difficult for that mantra to develop over a period of time. And for you to experience life through the mantra, for you to experience faith through the mantra, for you to see how things are working out when you're chanting the mantra, these are all experiences, these are all a matter of evolution. So in that sense, having one single principle and one single mantra works better because all your concentration within all our limitations is going into that principle. So I would recommend that you read and you get inspired and take moral principles and take very clear principles from the incarnations of how one is austere and how Lord Sri Ram was extraordinarily duty bound in the execution of his human agenda. All of these are very important for us as principles of life and for us to execute life in general. But when we shift our mantras or we have too many mantras to chant, then it becomes difficult to focus. Does it make sense?
Thank you so much. It does make sense.
Sure. Any other question or comment? Okay, I don't see any other question. If there are any questions, feel free to post it in the WhatsApp group, or you could even write to me personally. You feel free to do so and reach out. Until then, wish you every one of you a very happy Ramanavami, and meditate on the activities of Lord Sri Ram, which are glorious and which are preparatory for us to be able to serve Lord Chaitanya nicely. And we would then connect again in the following week. And we will continue our discussion of the third chapter, and hopefully we will finish it. Was there a question at all? I thought I heard someone say something. No?
Hi, Kṛṣṇa Prabhuji.
Yes.
Pranam. Prabhuji, actually, you told me about Ram Navami today. So these days, actually, what happens, everything is
coming twice, like 2 festivals, Vaishnav, Ekadashi also it's sometimes 2. Like in India it's different, and here it's in UK it's different. So which one should we follow? We should follow Indians, or whatever date is there in UK, and why is it?
So good. You see, the time has to be seen very carefully, because there is a certain lunar day when this occurs, and because the Western time zones are different from the Indian time zone, the festivals do have their precedence in India. There's a difference between India and the West. And as a consequence, what I'm suggesting is follow the calendar, because that's much better than to follow India's time, because India time is not necessarily Western time. Not necessarily Western time. So I was just wanting you to understand that there's a difference, because there is a certain tithi, which is the lunar day on which the Lord appears. And for that to be observed, there are certain rules which the calendar makers follow, where they say that that tithi occurs on a Saturday in the West, while it occurs on a Sunday in India. If it occurs on a Saturday in the West, then it's better to follow on a Saturday in the West. This is to follow the principle of observation. However, any day of the week, be it today or tomorrow, when you celebrate the Lord's appearance and get absorbed in the Leela, it would always benefit. That's the other side to it as well.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Haribol.
Haribol. Okay, so I think if there aren't anything, I'll just end the meeting now, and then we'll connect again the following week. Thank you for joining me. Hare Krishna.